Hey everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about 5 years on YouTube, what I've learned, how it's changed, what I might do differently if I were starting again in 2023, and I'm really glad that you're here. All right, so way back in 2018, I decided that I was going to take a grown-up gap year. I left a career that I had had for 25 years. I did not know what I wanted to do when I grew up. My sons were leaving for college, and I needed a reset. We were very fortunate that we could take a time out from me earning money and I could pursue something creative. And I decided to make YouTube videos mostly to document that journey, fully presuming that at the end of that year, I would go back to a regular career, a more normal situation, and we would continue on until retirement. Instead, what happened is those videos started getting more and more views. It is not a story of a meteoric rise to YouTube stardom. I am still considered a fairly small channel with around 30,000 subscribers on 2 different channels, so about 60,000 combined. I've had several million views, and I do now make my living as a YouTube creator. My business is on track to make 6 figures this year. I started from nothing and we've built it into something where we now have a team, and it is really, really exciting. And I look back now and it seems crazy to me. Like if you had said to me back in 2018, this is what it's going to look like 5 years later, I would not have believed you. It has exceeded my every expectations. So what I did is I went over on Instagram and I asked you guys your questions, and you had some fantastic ones, really about 30 questions just about being a YouTube creator, but they really all boiled down to around the same 5 questions that I get asked over and over again, so I'm going to get into that. I also always get asked about what equipment I use, so I'm going to list down in the description box everything that I use to film the video that you are watching today and what is now my setup. Over the years, that has changed frequently. I've had all different level of cameras and audio and all the things, but this is where I am right now, subject to change. But if you're interested in getting a kit of your own, I will have affiliate links and you can set yourself up from there. So here's the bottom line. Yes, even in 2023, you can absolutely make a living as a YouTube creator. So let's dive right into your questions. You guys over on Instagram are always so great about being completely honest with me about what you want to know. By the way, if you're not following me over there, I am at Jen Lefforge and I would love to see you. But the first question was asked many different ways, and it is, at the start, did you have a clear plan or goal, even if it morphed over time? So we do have documentation of what I was thinking back in the very beginning, because I filmed videos about what I was thinking back in the very beginning in the form of monthly creator updates. And I just went back yesterday and watched my 1-month creator update. And surprisingly, the things I had to say about YouTube then are very similar to what I would say about YouTube now. But I didn't really plan on it becoming a career. In the back of my mind, my wildest expectation was that it could be a side hustle, that maybe it could help offset some of the cost of my travel, that it could be something I could do on the weekends. But I did kind of think, well, maybe I can make a little bit of money doing this. I had friends that had done it. I had seen other YouTubers that were not that different than me. I thought, you know, I could probably make a little bit of side income as a YouTube creator. What I didn't plan for was it becoming my entire career. And that piece of it didn't become clear until about 2 years in. Interestingly, when I went back and watched that 1-month video, I said that someone had told me it takes about 2 years to know if you can actually make a career out of YouTube. And I would say that that was true to a T. It was exactly 2 years. So I don't know if I spoke that into existence or if that's the reality for a lot of YouTube creators. There are certainly creators that grew way faster than me. My good friend Jackie has a little channel called Super Enthused. She grew like 5 times faster than I did. I am so proud of her and happy for her. Hey, Jackie. So it wasn't like a competition, but it is interesting to see that there are YouTubers that started when I did that have grown so much more There are also a whole bunch of YouTubers that started when I did that aren't doing YouTube at all anymore. So the opposite can also be true. It is a very competitive space. You do have to put a lot of work into it. At the beginning, I had no idea how much work would be required, but the more I did and the more success I saw, the more motivated I was to keep going and almost to treat it like a game. Now, having said that, a game where I had to make money. And one of you had also asked, when you left that regular automatically deposited paycheck job, were you worried about the lack of dependable income? And the truth is, only every single solitary day I worried about it. I worried about it when I woke up in the morning. I worried about it when I went to bed at night. I still worry about it. I still don't know if this is sustainable long term. And as the business has grown and now I have other people relying on me to pay them, it becomes even kind of a bigger burden. But I think any small business owner shares that burden. And I would say the fears and the anxiety I have about not making enough money to pay the bills is really an acceptable negative to all of the positives of owning my own business, which include not having to ask for time off, include not having to set an alarm in the morning unless it's for a flight, which include traveling literally all over the world and being able to have the business, be part of those travels. It is truly a remarkable job. And although I would never say that it isn't hard work, because it is very hard work, I'm also very fortunate to be able to do what I'm doing. So did I have a plan when I set out? Kinda, but this has exceeded my wildest dreams, and I'm so incredibly grateful that this is what I get to do with my life. The next question is about how did I set up my LLC? And I had a lot of similar questions about how did you know how to set up the business from the very beginning? And I would say to this, set up the business the way that you hope to grow the business. So if your goal is that you're going to be making six figures, then set up a business that those systems can be in place so that you don't have to redo things later on. And then if it turns out that that's not possible, there's really no harm in setting things up well from the beginning. Once I was making probably $500, $600 a month, I realized it was probably a good idea to separate out my home from my business. And this is for a variety of tax reasons, liability reasons. There really is no magic time when it's the right time to set up your LLC. I would talk to a tax professional. I watched a lot of videos from my friend Aiden, who is Aiden Durham. Her channel is All Up in Your Business. She's hilarious. I love her. She's actually become my attorney. Hey, Aiden. But she did a lot of great videos about how to know when it's time. But depending on your state, setting up an LLC can be super easy. It's just one form, or it can be incredibly complicated and require an attorney. So check with your state, check with your tax accountant if you have one. My tax accountant actually did it for me. I think I paid her $200 to set it up. And it was very straightforward and very easy, but there are certain things you have to do in order to make that happen. But I'm very much a rule follower when it comes to taxes and all of those regulations and things like that. So knowing those things is very important if you intend to make money as a YouTube creator. So even if you've made no money yet, start educating yourself on that process. And if you have trouble understanding it, which I typically did, get friends, get professionals, get people around you that know what they're talking about, that can kind of guide you on that path. I am so grateful for both YouTube, because there's hardly anything that you can't find out on YouTube, right? And that we're in the information age. Things are knowable. And then also that I have friends with loads of business experience and tax experience that could help inform and at least guide me in the right direction along the way. So yeah, I would say begin the way you intend to continue. And I did hope to turn this into some form of a business, but again, did not think it would turn into what it has. And I'm super grateful. So this next question kind of tags on to that. What is your best advice for someone starting a small business? And I would say, like I just said in that last question, take it seriously, set yourself up for success, kind of have things scalable so that as your business grows, you're not having to reinvent the wheel. But also I would say, allow yourself to have confidence in your own ability and your own path forward. I think you have to believe in yourself if you're going to have anybody else believe in you. You have to believe in your own message. I have always felt that I was a good communicator. I pursued acting for a while. I had a background in musical theater. I love entertaining people. I love communicating. I love teaching. And I had hoped to use all of those things in my business on YouTube. But I had to have the confidence to believe that anybody would even want to listen to me in the first place. So you kind of have to believe your own messaging. So I would say if you're going to start your own business, start out believing in what it is that you're trying to do. Because if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it either. And you can't fake it. You really have to genuinely think that what you have to offer is going to be valuable to people. And I genuinely felt that my perspective would be valuable to people, whether that was about home organization or travel. And I wanted to fill in that space. That is what I wanted to do. And so having that belief that I had something to offer was kind of key to everything else coming after it. So yeah, figure out what you're excited about and then have a strong sense of self and your own belief in your ability to build something really beautiful. Okay, this question is funny and always makes me laugh. How much do influencers actually make? You guys know I really don't like the word influencer. I much prefer content creator. But the truth is they make everything from $0 to $250,000 a month and more. I was just talking to someone that used to work for YouTube. He's a viewer, he's a friend. He was telling me that it's not at all unusual for the larger channels to make $30, $50, $100,000 for doing a sponsored video. So there is a lot of money to be made. It kind of though runs the whole spectrum because you have people that make next to nothing. Then there's a whole bunch of people like me that kind of eke out a living and make enough to have a sustainable business. And then you have your big famous rock star YouTubers. I'm not sure I ever want that. I think there are some things that go along with that I find kind of distasteful and not fun. I kind of like the space that I'm in where I'm like, making my living, I'm doing my traveling, I'm bringing the stories home to you guys. But really there's lots of different ways too that you can make money on YouTube. And I will put a link to the video that I did about how I make money right here. But in a nutshell, I have AdSense revenue, which pays me anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month. I have my patrons who support me monthly with anywhere from $5 a month to $25 a month. And that comes in monthly. I'm very grateful that I have wonderful patrons that support me. I have affiliate income. I have YouTube consulting income. There are lots of different income sources that come into Vesta Productions. Without those multiple income streams, this would not be viable as a small business for me. So I think any YouTube creator would tell you, you really do have to be pursuing other things. You need to sell a product, you need to have an e-course, you need to do sponsored videos, you need to work with brands, you can do Patreon. There are lots of different ways to go about it, but I don't really know anybody that just relies on Google AdSense income. And the other reason for that is it is wildly inconsistent because you could get 1 month, I might make, I think my biggest month last year, I made $3,600 and my lowest month I made like $1,300. That's a huge gap to try to sustain a business. So having those other income streams allows it to be a little more even and give me a more stable base so that I can pay vendors, I can pay my virtual assistant, and I can make sure that I can continue to grow the business while still paying myself enough to make it worthwhile. This question is big and it kind of, I will have a lot of words along this question. So if you're still watching, this would be a great time to make your cup of tea or whatever, and maybe just take a drink. Would you do it all over again, knowing what you know now? So let's start with, what do I know now? I didn't know how to edit. Now I do. I didn't know how to do SEO, which is called search engine optimization, and is absolutely necessary to be discoverable on YouTube through Google search, all of those kinds of things. Now I know how to do that. I didn't know how to do metadata. And one of you had asked a question about metadata. Metadata is all of the back-end things you do, everything from your title to your thumbnail to your description, your keywords, and then of course how I'm going to market that video once I make it. I did not understand that just creating the video was just step one, like coming up with an idea and filming the video, Or since I'm also a travel vlogger, so I have two channels, going on a trip, recording the content, and then editing the video, that's maybe 20% of the whole process. Then you have to edit the video. Then you have to market the video because people have to know that it exists, right? You have to do all of the metadata to make sure that people can easily find it, to make it easy for the algorithm to find the right audience for your video. And then you have to continue to promote it. The goal is kind of that you have enough videos that are sort of what we call evergreen videos, that you're making money even when you're not producing a video. And that has definitely been true for me. I have videos that I make money on every single day that I recorded 3, 4, 5 years ago. And those are your sweet spot, right? That's just what they call passive income, but is a little deceptive because I put a lot of work into it in the beginning, but now it's still making money for me, kind of like residuals, right? Every day those videos are being viewed. Now, the negative, and one of the things that I didn't really understand when I started, is you can never rest on your laurels. You constantly have to be evolving. You have to be finding your audience. You have to be growing. You have to be figuring out what's the next thing I need to be talking about. You have to be learning a new skill set. You need to be upping whatever the latest and greatest audio and video is because people have an expectation. For instance, when I started, most people were watching on their laptops. Well, now most people watch either on their phone or, and this is scary when you're 52 years old and you put your face in front of people are watching on their big screen TVs in HD or in 4K. And that's a little terrifying. Sometimes people will send me like on Instagram that they were watching me on their big, huge TV. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a big lot of me. That's a big face. So I didn't really get that would happen. And 5 years from now, who knows how we will be watching YouTube videos. Will I be a hologram? Will I be showing up in your family room? I don't know. But I know that I am going to have to change and evolve with the platform. And more importantly, I know the importance of my audience. Way back in the beginning, someone had told me that true audience, those people that really feel connected to me and to my content, were my most important asset, and that has continued to be true. I have a core group of people, a core audience that I communicate with across all the different platforms. They chat with me on Instagram, they chat with me on Facebook, they chat with me in the comments. They are true supporters of the work that I'm doing, and I always am making my videos for them. Having said that, I also have to always be attracting new people to my channel. So I didn't really know that you would have this sense of like always being chased, and I don't love the constant comparison and you're only as good as your next video. That's unlike any job I've ever had. It's not like, you're good at your job, you show up every day, you do the job, and then you get paid. You can be good at your job, you can show up every day and do your job, but then the public has to be watching what it is that you put out there. And so watching the numbers and watching the statistics, and when I get nervous, when I put up a video that I put my heart and soul into and then nobody watches it, is that discouraging? Yes, it's totally discouraging, but I keep fighting for it. I keep going I keep waking up every day and going, okay, where is my audience? What is changing? And not every video that I think is important to do is going to get tons of views. A perfect example would be the video I did about marriage and money. It did not get a lot of views, I think, because it's just not a real fun topic to talk about. But for me, I felt like that video was super important. So I'm not sorry I did it, but you have to accept that some videos are going to get more views than others. I have tried really hard not to fall into the trap of being super overly over the top with thumbnails and things like that. I think that attracts a certain kind of audience, but I prefer to attract a more thoughtful crowd that isn't necessarily swayed by the, all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not dissing anyone who does that in their thumbnails, but at some point it gets kind of old and you can't just keep making this big dramatic face every time. People have to be coming back to your channel, in my view, or I should say my channel, for something more, something beyond. And I truly want to be adding to their lives. And I know that that sounds maybe a little bit ridiculous, but you all have shared with me in your notes and your messages and your comments that I have been able to teach and to share things with you that have mattered. And that's really all I ever wanted to do with my career from the time I was a very little girl, is to be able to entertain and to communicate and to share information with people that mattered. And I'm super, super grateful for this platform. I think being a YouTube and a content creator is the best job on the planet. If you have the ability, if you feel like you're a fair communicator and it's something you've always wanted to do, I would say do it. Don't even hesitate. I adore my job. It is far more work than I realized, but I'm incredibly blessed and incredibly lucky that this is what I get to do with my life each and every day. So yeah, 5 years. 5 years is a lot of time. A lot has changed. YouTube has changed dramatically. The world has changed dramatically. But you know what? The future is going to be amazing. And I feel like I'm up to the challenge. And you know what? I feel like you are too. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. If you haven't already subscribed to both of my channels, it would mean the world to me if you would do that. I will put a link down below on how you can join us on Patreon. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.